Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to the storytelling time. Today I have a story of the people of the cave, and I hope you'll enjoy it. And I'm going to tell you in brief about what happened with them. So these 7 boys, young men, let's just call them youth. So 7 of them lived in a time where most of the majority of people in the city did not believe in Allah. They did not recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They decided to just worship idols. And also on the other hand, there was a king. The Romans actually were occupying that area. So the king wanted everybody to follow what he believed in. And he wanted to force people to worship what he worships.
Audio Jungle.
So at this time, the 7 young men start thinking of what to do, how they get out of this. They don't want to be forced into worshiping something they don't believe in. So they decided to leave the city. One morning, they just decided to wear something to disguise themselves and just leave the city. And they took their dog with them. So, and this is exactly what happened in the morning. They left slowly and quietly so nobody would notice them. At the gate of the city, one of the soldiers stopped them, and he wanted to know where they were going. So one of the boys told him that they're just going to hunt, and they'll come back by the end of the day. So he told him, okay, be careful and don't stay out late, because we're looking for people who go against the will of the king, and we want to capture all those people because they just create corrupt in the city. So after that, after they talked to the gate man, they went on their way. They start looking for a place to hide. They walked and walked, and they found a mountain. There's a cave up in the mountain that they found. It's not too far from the city. So they just decided to stay there and just rest for a little bit, take a nap, and continue after that. So they slept, and also their dog slept with them. And they had a little bit of food, but they didn't finish their food. So their food was still scattered where they were sitting. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because those young boys, or young men I should say, because they were true believers, they acknowledged Allah, they served Allah, and they were devoted to the servant to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He decided to protect them from the disbelievers. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did, He made them sleep for a long, long time. These young men slept for over 300 years. And some narrations would tell us 300 years, about 309 years.
Audio Jungle.
During the time of the sleep, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will turn them, and even the sun will hit the cave. So for if somebody is watching them, you would think that they were just sleeping, but they were actually dead. So after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, at this time, this is the time where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to bring them back to life. So they woke up, little by little, one by one, and they thought that they just slept for a few hours because the day there's still light outside, so they just thought they slept for a little bit and their food is still there. But one of them start questioning. They start looking at their food. Their food looked like it's been there for a long time. So anyway, they questioned this, but they didn't really pay a lot of attention to it. They wanted to send one of them back to the city to get them some food so they can eat and then carry on with their journey to find a better place, a place where they can worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala freely and not be scared of anybody who want to force them to worship somebody else or idol or a statue.
Audio Jungle.
So one of them went to the city. He covered himself so he won't be known. He walked to the city and he started noticing that things didn't look like the way they looked before. Things changed. So he walked in and he just talked to the first person that he saw. And even the way they talk, because almost 300 years passed, people changed, the dialect changed, even sometimes language if some places change. So they didn't speak exactly the same dialect that their people that they thought their people in that city spoke. So that guy from the city asked him if he's a stranger, and he told him, he didn't tell him the truth because he was still hiding. They thought the tyrant, the king, is still there. So they're trying to still conceal their identity so they won't be known and they won't get arrested. So this young man bought some food, and when he wanted to pay for his food, he took out of his pocket some golden pieces out and gave it to the trader or to the salesperson.
Audio Jungle.
When the salesperson saw the golden pieces, he thought this boy found a treasure because he could tell from the way the gold looked that it was very old. So he asked the guy, "Did you find a treasure? Because these pieces are very old. They're almost 300 years old." So they were both of them were surprised. The young boy didn't know what the salesperson was talking about, and he told him, "No, I didn't find any treasure. This is the money that I have." So the salesperson didn't believe him, and he said to himself, "This guy must have found a treasure and he wants to keep it for himself." So he threatened him. He told him, "If you don't tell me about the treasure, I'm going to tell the police. So they'll come and take you." So the young man got scared. He was trying to head back to his friends in the cave. At that time, there's some believers. So they told him about, a long time ago there's some boys who left the city because they were believers and because they were scared and they wanted to protect themselves, so they left the city, and we don't know what happened to them. So he knew those people were talking about him and his friends. He ran back to his friends and he told them, "This is what happened to me." He told them exactly what happened. And he said, "Guess what? We did not sleep for one day or for a few hours. We slept for over 300 years. So everybody was surprised. But they believed it because they believed in the power that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can do whatever He pleases or wants to do with His servants. The young boy said, "Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to make us a sign for our people."
Audio Jungle.
The young boy said to his friends that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to make us a sign because our people did not believe in the death and life after death, and they didn't believe in the day of judgment. So he wanted to make us a sign that he can take our souls and bring it back to life whenever he pleases. And after that, some of the believers followed the boy when he on his way to the mountain, to the cave, and he didn't know that they were following him. 'Cause they wanted to know what the story is. So when they waited and waited outside of the cave and nobody came out, so they decided to enter the cave. When they entered the cave, they saw these young boys, the 7 of them, and their dog, and they were all dead. And they knew that they just died because when they touched them, their bodies were still warm. So they believed this gave them more affirmation and confirmation. So they prostrated to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and after that they just decided to, because this place is a sign of Allah and a blessing, they decided to build a mosque around the place. So after that, the believers had more confirmation and affirmation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the power over everything, and they decided to build a masjid, a mosque over this, because they knew that this is a sign from Allah and this is a blessed place. And they felt that they won over the disbelievers, and now they can freely practice their worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without any fear. And that's the end of the story. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.